Hello, my name is Janae Valenzuela. I'm a sixth grade teacher at Highland Elementary. Um, we are a small school with 438 students in our elementary. Out of those 438 students, we have 392 students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged. We have 36% or 158 of those students who are EL students. And then we have 21% or 91 students who are I'm sorry, who are students with disabilities. Um, so this year, um, ELA is about 1 to 2% higher than the last previous years, 3 years for our school. 2025 is also 2 to 3% lower than it said 2019 and 2021, but I want to say in 2021 there were no scores, and in 2020, if I'm correct. Um, but before COVID, our school did have a higher percentage of students um who did better on the CASP. For math, this year is 1% higher than last year. And it is also 2 to 3% higher than the previous 2 years before that. And again, 2019 was higher than this school year by 3%. So over the last year or last few years, ELA, fourth grade had the most decreased percentage of students student proficiency on the CASP. Um, in 2022, fourth grade's proficiency was 43.4%, and in 2023, they decreased by 42 to 42.2%. And then in 2024, they decreased to 42.1%. In math, all grade levels increased every year except for about fifth grade. They also increased, but they increased their incre sorry, they increased only by like 1%. And from 2023 to 2024, and then zero point 0.4 from 2024 to 2025 school year. Um, Something that I noticed was students who are the biggest gap we had were students in that were socioeconomically disadvantaged. Um, in math, they grew 8% in proficiency from 2021 to 2022. And from 2024 to 2025, students with disabilities proficiency decreased by 5%. So last year, we did not have any students who um, were proficient on the CASP. But the year before that, we did have 5%. So last year, we just had none. Um, Something that could have a trend that could have went into that was students with disabilities. They have a chronic absenteeism rate of 35%. Other than that, and they also have a suspension rate of 5%. But socioeconomically disadvantaged students have a chronic absenteeism rate of 26%. So I asked ChatGPT, I gave them a prompt and asked them to help me come up with like the next steps. So ChatGPT recommended that we target chronic absenteeism for students with disabilities through individualized attendance plans, family outreach, and support services. This is something my school's already been doing. Um, they've implemented this like a few years ago. We just have a hard time getting parents on board and coming to the meetings to actually talk about why their students are missing school. And then strengthening tier one instruction, particularly in ELA with consistent grade level tasks and built-in scaffolds. Um, this is something we have been working on recently, just strengthening that tier one instruction, but we also pull groups for tier two and tier three instruction. Um, The next step would be to implement focused intervention blocks for students with disabilities that prioritize acceleration rather than remediation alone. Um, Again, I pull small groups for tier three students, and these students also see they go to the learning center to work on pretty much what we are learning or where the basic foundations that they're lacking in. They work on those in there. Sorry, the foundational skills. Um, Step four would be to reduce exclusionary discipline practices and expand restorative and instructional behavior supports. This is something my school has also been working on. We're trying to get suspension rates down and focus on um, other ways to support behavior. So step five would be to study and adapt practices with Palo Verde and Velocitos, focusing on literacy instruction, math coherence, and attendance system. Um, those two schools are in our same socioeconomic area, but they have better results on CASP than we do. So ChatGPT also gave me recommendations for data to gather next. That would be to gather data on attendance um, by grade, day of week, and reason for absence. It is also to look at the suspension data by the type of infraction and repeat referrals. Um, Look at CASP claim level data for ELA and math, progress monitoring or diagnostic data for students with disabilities, and information on intervention minutes, inclusions, models, and staffing stability. Um, Thank you for taking the time to listen to me talk about my school. Have a good day.